In fact, Malcolm X's parents were in the Garvey movement. Malcolm X's parents were in the UNIA. Elijah Poole, before he became Elijah Muhammad, before he became the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was in the Garvey movement. 138. Yes, 138. That's the number you should be thinking about today, because it is exactly 138 years ago that the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey was born. It is exactly 138 years ago that God gave us the greatest mind, the greatest black leader, and the greatest organizer we have ever had in the history of mankind. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Yes, 17th August 1887 is when he was born. And Marcus Garvey is the best fit of the African proverb that states that when an African child is born, it is a sign that God hasn't given up on us. And truly, God outdid himself when he made him. So today we celebrate Garvey. Today we honor Garvey. And today we want to say thank you to Garvey, because if it's not for his contributions, we wouldn't be here today. In honor of Garvey, today we are going to talk about 5 things you might not know about the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. In 1887, August the 17th, Marcus Garvey was born. He lived to be 52 years old. He transitioned in June 10th, 1940. He died off of a stroke. June 10th happens to be a special day for me because it happens to be my birthday. And I tend to celebrate Marcus Garvey on that day more than I celebrate myself. Not because I hate myself, no. It's because I fully understand the heaviness, the significance, and the importance of Marcus Garvey. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here today. He laid the foundation of civil rights. He laid the foundation of anti-colonial fight here in Africa, and we owe our lives to him. Number 2, Marcus Garvey made the greatest black movement in the history of mankind. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, UNIA, ACL. Till this day, nobody has ever overtaken the UNIA. It organized 6 million plus African people. 6 million plus African people in the 20s is no joke. It's no joke, my friend. And you know why? It's because people saw his vision. Marcus Garvey did not discriminate on black people based on their skin tone, based on their shade of black, based on their religion, based on their wealth, based on their class, no. His whole idea was, regardless of our background, regardless of our shade of black, regardless of our class and wealth, we belong in one race. If we are of African descent, we belong in one global African race, and we should progress forward as a global African race together. And that's why he organized 6 million plus African people, because people saw his vision. People saw his vision. Number 3, did you know that J. Edgar Hoover, yes, the first FBI director, one of his first assignments was to take down Garvey? And it wasn't even called the FBI at that time. It was called the Bureau of Investigation, BOI. And surely, Marcus Garvey was sentenced to 5 years in prison off of a phony charge of mail fraud. Of course, he was framed. 2 years later, in his prison sentence, his sentence was commuted by the president at that time, President Calvin Coolidge, and then he was immediately deported straight to Jamaica. It wasn't until Joe Biden, where he posthumously pardoned him. Imagine, almost 100 years later is when Marcus Garvey was pardoned by, of course, President Joe Biden. And I want to credit that not to Joe Biden, but to Dr. Julius Garvey, Marcus Garvey's son, because he has been fighting hard for decades to make sure that his father is pardoned. And of course, I'm happy that his hard work paid, because it is not until 2025 January that Marcus Garvey was pardoned. So hats off to you, Dr. Julius Garvey, hats off to you. Number 4, did you know that the famous red, black, and green flag that we all use today in various, activism movements, it was made by Garvey. In fact, it was debuted in Madison Square Garden. It was created by Garvey in that order: red, black, and green. And red, black, and green is a very, very, very important flag, because those colors are supposed to be in that order. And there's a reason why it's in that order. There's a reason why red is on top of black. Because Garvey's idea was, we are united in our African blood. Not everybody has the pigmentation of black. No, no, no. But we all share the same African blood. We as African people share the same African blood, regardless of our skin tone, regardless of our shade of black. Some of us are light skinned, some of us are dark skinned, some of us are caramel, some of us are what? But we are in one African blood, which is why red is on top of black. Number 5, the last one. Did you know that Marcus Garvey inspired directly and indirectly most of our black heroes? Oh yes. Oh yes, in fact, Malcolm X's parents were in the Garvey movement. Malcolm X's parents were in the UNIA. Elijah Poole, before he became Elijah Muhammad, before he became the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was in the Garvey movement. A plethora of black heroes have cited Marcus Garvey as one of their inspirations. In fact, as their main inspiration. Kwame Nkrumah has cited Garvey. Of course, Dr. King has cited Garvey. Malcolm X has cited Garvey. Nnamdi Azikiwe has cited Garvey. And Marcus Garvey is one of the inspiration of the Rastafari movement. I mean, Marcus Garvey, to me, that's why he's called the father of Pan-Africanism. He took Pan-Africanism into a whole new level, which is why today I want to thank him, I want to honor him, and I want to say that if it wasn't because of you, we wouldn't be here today. Let us all celebrate Garvey. Let us all thank Garvey. Let us all honor Garvey. And the best way we can honor Garvey is by uniting. Let's stop all this beef. All this African American versus African beef needs to stop. All this FBA things needs to stop. It needs to stop. All this tribalism that we have, even here in the continent, even here in Kenya, it needs to stop. The only way we can honor Marcus Garvey is by uniting as a global African race. And by realizing that we cannot realize true, complete freedom if we don't unite. If we don't have one economy, if we don't have one political system, if we don't have one social system, if we don't have one currency, if we don't have a one Africa, if we don't have a one global organized African race. That's the only way we can honor Garvey. That's the only way we can honor Garvey. 138 years ago is when Marcus Garvey was born. The number that you should be thinking about today is 138. 138. 138. Thank you. Black Power.